Hello and welcome everybody to this week's edition of the Travel Coffee Break. I'm Alistair Mackenzie and I've got Malcolm Ginsberg with me, a regular panelist, contributor, guest and expert on both business travel and aviation. And so this week we're just going to do a fairly speedy show about the latest aviation news. If you have any questions, then use the Q&A app. It should be on the top right-hand corner of the screen. Malcolm, I'm going to make a public apology to you because I realised when I was looking at the event for this, the event page, I've gone and spelt your name again with a U in Berg as opposed to an E. So I corrected it on the blog, but I haven't yet on the event. But I'll try to do better next time round.
No, I must interrupt you. We are a BERG here.
Yes.
Yes.
I know, but that's what I got wrong.
URGs I have no idea and I'm not responsible for.
Okay. This week's news, for those who don't know, Malcolm edits Business Travel News, which is, off the top of my head, btnews.co.uk.
Yeah.
And it comes out, it's a newsletter, it comes out every Monday. In fact, it comes out absolutely the crack of dawn every Monday. In fact, it's usually in the late hours of Sunday that Malcolm finally puts it to bed. And it has the latest travel industry, aviation industry news as well as business travel news. And so I quite often, when Malcolm joins me on these weekly Hangouts, I go straight to his latest release, which is what I'm looking at right now. And it reminds me, because I remember I got the press release as well, British Airways, they've suddenly decided to change their carry-on policy. What's all that about?
I just think this is a way of perhaps appeasing the cabin staff. To be fair, they adhere to the normal IATA suggestions. And what they're now saying is, if you've got a small bag or a smaller bag, please tuck it away under the seats. I seem to think that some years back, the Civil Aviation Authority were not so keen on putting things under the seat. But they do have a problem that the bins on the smaller aircraft, the A320s, are not that big. I mean, they're a fair industry standard, and I'm not criticising Airbus, but people seem to come on with all sorts of junk these days. Mind you, must change the subject, and you'll see it on the newsletter. There's an airline in Africa that allows people to take 80 pounds, I think it is, or 80 kilos of, it can't be 80 pounds, it'd be too much, half a person, but 80 kilos of luggage on board.
What?
Or they take with. Anyhow, that's besides the point. With British Airways, I think they're just trying to cut down the amount of luggage. Ryanair successfully managed to cut it down some years ago, but it's creeping up again. I just think typically British Airways, they haven't handled it with the best way, but it's not a bad idea.
It's a catch up. It's one of those things that it's rather like road space that if you build it bigger, then frankly the cars just fill it up again. It's a never-ending battle, as you say. Ryanair did it. They were pretty ruthless about it, and they sort of nabbed it. But it is increasing, and I noticed. Are you aware of the Spud Hilton, who's the travel editor for the Los Angeles Times, has been running a campaign for some time over in the States in particular, photographing. He set up a website and people photograph people in front of them at the gate with ridiculous amounts of carry-on in a bid to shame them. It is the bane of the air attendants, in-flight attendants' lives, isn't it?
Oh yes, the other day I was at Gatwick going somewhere or other, and they got a bit stroppy about my bag, which is completely legal. And I really couldn't be bothered, so I said, oh, stick it in the hold. And I finished up with a newspaper. So I had nothing to carry. I walked on, I got my seat, lovely. So I really, this is about carrying things. The problem is, of course, that you might be charged for putting it in the hold. I wasn't on this occasion, so you've got to balance it all up. And then, of course, you have the other ridiculous thing of people that wear coats and everything else in the middle of summer, so because of the weight problem.
It was that classic thing a couple of weeks ago with the guy from one of the young boy bands who was told by EasyJet that he couldn't carry so much, and so he put on, how many layers was it? 12 layers of clothing, and then promptly keeled over on the airplane and had to be taken off to hospital. So yeah, it's certainly an issue. This is British Airways reducing the size of the second carry-on baggage from the 18th of August. And Malcolm, I'm reading your copy here. The size of each passenger's personal handbag or laptop bag can be no larger than 40 by 30 by 15 centimeters, so that it can be stowed in the seat, beneath the seat in front of you. And they are going to be doing, in fact, they've already started doing, I've noticed when I've been with BA recently, they're definitely checking the lines and giving people yellow tags for handbags and bag tops that they think are within the new dimension. So it's worth noting that from the 18th they're going to be even more beady. The other thing I noticed in your newsletter, Malcolm, was Lufthansa. They're introducing some new fares, or a new price concept.
Well, they're not really doing anything very much that the people have done previously. But because if you go and have a look at several airlines, I mean, Flybe I happened to look at last week, and they've got three price bands for their aircraft as well, and they're only a one-class aircraft. This is a two-class aircraft. I just think it's some sort of marketing ploy they've got into their head, and they've got their standard audience. They're going to fly with them regardless. People, and of that standard audience, there are people that will take the cheapest, and people will take the next grade up. I don't think they have very many full fare paying passengers. I mean, take for instance this Flybe, which I flew down
last week when you joined us. You were actually at the gate at Exeter Airport on the ready to return.
Exeter Airport, very pleasant. The point is that on a typical flight, Flybe happened to have three price ranges. It was £100, £200, £300. I don't think very many people are going to pay the £300 price, unless they're flying for governments or some organisation that's somebody else is paying for it.
And when you've got a small, as you say, one class or two class aircraft anyway, it's very hard to make any sort of significant distinctions between those price levels. I mean, in this case, economy class fare options, light, classic and flex, will apply from the 1st of October for European flights, and will offer different services. But those services can't be all that different, can they?
No, and I really think that the Ryanair and particularly EasyJet have got a one-class aircraft, and you buy. The other thing they could do, and I wish Iberia would do it, which is a particularly bad airline as far as economy, is to give vouchers. If you're paying full fare on Iberia, and I did it not that long ago down to Madrid, somebody else paid. I died when I saw the price of the ticket was about £600-700 for return in economy. It was outrageous. And when I got on board, they wanted me to buy a coffee and what have you. If you're paying that sort of money, and it's very easy now because we're digitized, you ought to be able to give them a voucher and have your coffee for free. It's something that BA ought to look at. But communication with British Airways is not never easy.
I notice also, I'm sorry, trying to get back to my page here. Oh, come on. There we go. There's something that came up this week, which you weren't covering. It mainly applies to the United States. It was a survey by the Open Doors organization, ODO, released its 2015 market study of the air travel experience for US adult travelers with disabilities. And what was striking about it was that back in 2005, something around 84% of travelers with disabilities encountered major obstacles with airlines, and since then it's dropped from right the way down to 72%. So clearly airlines are getting better, and they quoted, and I'm just going to try and see if I can bring this up on the screen. Hold on, let's get back to there so I can do it. This is a seat design. They said basically airlines were getting much better at the way they manage travelers with disabilities. And I thought this was quite interesting because this is a seat design. Let me get back to it so I can scroll it. There you go. Which has in effect a trolley. I don't know if you can see this, but it is a wheel on. It's like a designed wheelchair here that then slots into these vacant chairs here. Take the cushions off the chair and it can slot in. So there it is. There's the wheels underneath it. And I think that's a really clever idea, and I'd like to see more of that kind of thing. But what's your impression, Malcolm? Have you noticed that airlines are getting better at being able to cope with disabilities?
I don't think it's just airlines. I think travel in general is vastly easier these days for people with disabilities. I mean, take the London Underground, for instance. There's a lot of the stations have got raised ramps now, so it's a level. At some point, it's not all the way through. They just do it at some point along the platform. More and more stations are getting lifts. So although some of them, it's virtually impossible, I suppose, at Oxford Circus, the complexity of it, to do so. But most of the suburban stations where you can put a bridge in, there's lifts. So that's very good. On the cruise ships, they actively encourage disabled travellers. And you've only got to go back to the London 12 Olympics, where there was a very, very successful disabled Olympics, which I certainly went and enjoyed. So I think life for the disabled, those who are not as mobile as they would wish, is getting better, and the airlines are doing their utmost to try and help. It's not that easy because we're still, people like Ryanair will insist on not using air bridges, so then you've got to get the customer up to the level of the aircraft, and equipment has to be brought around. It does slow the whole operation down, and that's the big difficulty with people flying, that they are slowing the turnaround of the aircraft around.
Yeah.
And when you've got a slot to get and you're the captain and you're getting agitated, it's not easy.
You remind me that actually, I think 2 years ago at World Travel Markets, I went to a panel discussion that was being run by I think it's the British Hospitality Association, and they were talking about disabled travel, and there was one person on the panel who was talking about Birmingham Airport and saying that she'd just passed through there recently, and they have a fantastic room set aside for people with disabilities that need to have carers with them and need wheelchair accommodation, all that kind of thing. And this is this room has somewhere where they can lie down. It's got an ensuite toilet and all the rest of it. I mean, she said it's a fantastic facility, but nobody knows about it. And that's the crazy thing.
We in Business Travel News have highlighted the one at Birmingham, and I believe there's one at Gatwick as well. Because in both cases, and it's true of Heathrow to a certain extent, you actually have hands-on managing directors. Paul Kehoe at Birmingham can be seen hunting around and looking at things, and Stuart Wingate the same at Gatwick. Now, this isn't the case in one or two of these very big international airports where it's a bit by remote control, and the managing director is just looking at the bottom line and nothing else.
Excellent. It's good that they're getting better at it. Okay, Malcolm, I think on that note, those are sort of the main things that have happened this week. I think perhaps we should wrap it up there and be back again, same place, same time next week. We may well have other guests there. I've got a couple of people who are talking about joining the show next week, so I'm not sure what the lead topic will be. But Malcolm, are you going to be around next week? Will you come pop in and do an aviation?
At the moment, it doesn't often happen, but it does in August. I have nothing in the diary except on Monday, where I'm going to interview the Chief Executive of the Airport Operators Association here in the UK. And in fact, tomorrow I'm doing a very interesting trip. I'm going down to Gatwick. I'm meeting Stuart Wingate, who's the managing director. I hear about his latest ploy to to win the third airport.
I
Then
can see his offices now as you speak.
then I'm taking Norwegian Air to Copenhagen, of all places. It could be anywhere, but the flight was equipped with Wi-Fi. And if you're around tomorrow afternoon and want to contact me on a private basis using the system, we might just try and see if it works in the air. We're taking off at 3:30 approximately. I will have the thing on live, so you know you might be talking to me in the air. Something
that would be. I mean, Norwegian are doing that. Many airlines are introducing in-flight Wi-Fi anyway. But of course, the thing that Norwegian are probably best known for at the moment are their revolutionary, as it were, low-cost flights across the Atlantic. So, is this a system that they're hoping to have in place for transatlantic crossings?
Well, I have to find out. At the moment, what happens is on, say, United Airlines, you fly the majority of the leg without Wi-Fi, and then as soon as you get across Canada, the Wi-Fi picks up. British Airways have never, to my knowledge, done this. Going the other way, Etihad has Wi-Fi, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's as fast as
and Oman Air
home. So that works particularly well. Cruise ship I was on last week, Explorer of the Sea, very poor. Another cruise ship, which I was also on a few weeks earlier, called Anthem of the Sea. Anthem of the Sea, the latest one from Royal Caribbean, also got brilliant Wi-Fi. I'm not into the technical side of it, but I think it's quite expensive to keep up with all this.
Cool. All right. Okay. Well, at least it's improving. That's good. All right. So we'll be here next week, same time, 2:00 in the afternoon UK, and look at the travelcoffeebreak.com blog to find out what our main topics are going to be. So until then, from Malcolm and I, bye for now.